The second game you beat was Hyper Light Drifter. You've mentioned in general that you are burnt out on all the indie games that keep coming out, but for some reason you kept coming back to this game. And what made this game so special?
Because it's an isometric Legend of Zelda 8-bit type game that has so much style in it. There's several games that I played this year that just made me feel cool for playing them. You know, like they were just so stylized and so unique. There were those type of games who you would go up to another gamer and be like, hey, have you played this game before? And if they said no, it just made you feel that much cooler. Hyper Light Drifter was definitely one of those games. What it captured was everything that I like about old pixel art Zelda games before they went 3D. There wasn't that much puzzle solving, it was almost entirely exploration, but it still had kind of a Legend of Zelda feel to it with a synthwave soundtrack, new wave soundtrack. Well, it's like a post-apocalyptic, you know? And then I love that the story in it is completely cryptic. It just breaks so many genres and stereotypes of 2D adventure games by having a cryptic narrative that allowed the interpreter to try to figure out what's going on, not the writer spoon feeding it to you. And the gameplay was top notch. Every time I died in the game, it was my fault. It just was cool. The character was cool. I thought the sound effects were awesome. Like you'd pull out your laser pistol, go and be just real fast, real sharp sound, and then you hear the enemy character go.
Do you have any complaints about it?
My only complaint that I remember, the game was so hard in the beginning because you didn't have upgrades. Once you got the upgrades, the game got so much easier. And so I think the first boss in the game was by far the hardest boss in the game, because once you got past him, then everything else in the game really started to come together, because you started to earn more money, you started to get better weapons, better stuff, and as a result, other bosses in the game were 100 times easier than the very first one. That if there was anyone who was like, I hated Hyper Light Drifter, I can understand why, because I got super mad on the first boss, and everything else after that was pretty easy for me.
Would you replay it?
Yes, that would be the game I want to learn to speedrun.
What is your overall rating?
I would give it an 8.9, because even though it wasn't flawless, it was definitely one of my favorite games this year.